Hello everyone, my name's Brian. Welcome to Daily Church. Today I thought I'd do something a bit more casual. I've been thinking about anxiety and how we deal with it. I haven't been feeling particularly anxious myself, but I've noticed over the last few days that I've had trouble getting to sleep and been waking up frequently. And I've definitely been more tense during the day, thinking about the next thing I have to get done. And seeing Belinda off to work in the emergency department has its own anxiety attached. So, anxiety is definitely affecting me to some degree. And all of us will be dealing with anxiety at the moment. And not all of it's bad. Some of it is a motivator for doing the right thing, keeping ourselves safe and considering those around us. But we'll all be dealing with anxiety to a larger or lesser degree, depending on our circumstances and our personality. So I was thinking about ways we can manage it, because if we don't manage it, then it will begin to manage us. So first thing I thought of is my brother was talking to me the other day about something he saw online about managing your anxiety by choosing for your news one trusted source and going to it once a day. And I think that's actually a really helpful tip, because news deals with heightened emotions, and it's very easy for us to keep going back and back and back to news and websites and just checking regularly on our phone to see what's happening. But what that tends to do is just to build anxiety in us. And it also takes our focus off the fact that God is in control. It brings our focus back to our leaders and the community around us. And we forget that above all that is God, and He's got this, as Dave said, and Holly in her prayer. So another thing we can do is we can call each other. If you're on Alvanto, then get on Alvanto and grab somebody's details, and if you haven't called them before, give them a call and see how they're doing and encourage them. And we can share with each other what we're struggling with ourselves, what particular anxieties or fears or struggles we might be having during this unusual and difficult time. And we can encourage each other, and we can pray for each other, and we can direct our gaze back to God, and remember where our salvation lies. The other thing I thought of is we can switch off the TV. Like, there's nothing wrong with sitting and watching some TV at the moment. It can take your mind off things. But one thing we can do if we're in a situation where we can do this is we can switch off the TV and play a board game, or some sort of activity like that where we're together and where our minds are focused on something else and we're interacting and we're communicating, which is not what happens when we're watching TV. So that could be a helpful thing. It could be a way of dealing with anxiety in your family while you concentrate on something that has nothing to do with what's going on around. Belinda and I have been doing some jigsaws. That's something, if you've got them, that take your mind off and drive you crazy in a new direction. I also have an app on my phone called Bible in 1 Year, which I find really helpful. I listen to that when I'm walking the dog in the morning, and when I'm walking the dog in the evening I listen to podcasts, which are also helpful for taking your mind in another direction. And pandemic or no pandemic, the dog must be walked or we all suffer. So I've got the time to do that, and that is something that really works for me. Maybe it would be helpful for you as well. that if you're, whatever you're interested in, there'll be a podcast to cater for you. And the other thing we can do is read a book, of course. Reading a book is really helpful for redirecting your mind, focusing you away from yourself and your own troubles. I think it was C.S. Lewis that said, reading enables one to see with myriad eyes, which means that you're able to step outside yourself and see the world through someone else's, in the way that someone else sees it. And that can be a really helpful thing. It helps build empathy, it helps build sympathy, it helps us understand our place in the world and other people's place in the world. So that's a valuable thing to be doing at the moment. And we can read the Bible. We need wisdom at the moment, and wisdom is a horizontal thing. Knowledge wisdom is a vertical thing. Knowledge is a horizontal thing. It's passed person to person, but wisdom comes from God, and wisdom is found in His Word. So let's read His Word while we've got the opportunity. And we can also memorise verses. Dave's already challenged us to memorise Psalm 46, but there's lots of verses that we could use at the moment to memorise to keep us focused on God during this time and away from anxiety. The verse that Fawn shared the other day, Psalm 94:19, when anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. That would be a great place to start. And lastly, we can pray. Why don't we get on our Vanto and make a list of church members to pray for each day, and in praying for them, consider their particular circumstance. Consider how we might be able to help them, if not now, later on. Consider how this might be affecting them, and hand them over to God and commit their difficulties to God, and focus outside our own anxieties. Finally, let me read Matthew 6:25 to 34. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the fields grow. They do not labour or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendour was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own.